advice, and people will be, talking about their experience thus far. So if we can start by everyone introducing yourselves, and then also what career you're in, and we'll start with Christine.
I picked the wrong seat. Hi everyone, my name is Christina Toto Wachuku. Shout out to my husband over there. Woo! I am a finance and strategy business consultant. I have been in private equity M&A work for about 14 or so years, and so my goal here is to share a little bit more about what I do for a living and how I enjoy solving business problems.
Hey everybody. I'm
Introduce yourself and your profession.
Okay. My name is Godfrey Adigas. Call that name, let me, in case you guys care anyways. But what I do for a profession is like construction management. I do construction management. I basically run all the trades. I make sure everybody's doing his job, and I help them out whenever they need it. Overall, I actually I guess I can, you know what, let me just let everybody else talk, and then I'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back around. But at the end of the day, I have like a long story. I didn't want to take up anybody's time, to be honest. So,
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Moses Voni Jurugo, and I'm currently in the health and wellness industry. I manage a fitness company currently. It's called Mandu. Thank you.
And I'm Joyce, I guess, and I am an educator and a program coordinator, and I work for Elizabeth Work Sisters. Some of you may know.
Can't hear you.
Can you speak louder?
Joyce Adigas, and I am a program coordinator and an educator. So I used to be a teacher, but now I'm like a supervision teacher at an after-school program.
Hello, my name is Lukide. I am a software engineer. I specialize in automation and testing. So all my technical.
My name is Lagu Joseph Luca. I have gone by Lagu for a very short amount of time. I've always been called Joseph, so at home, call me Joseph. I'm a mechanical engineer. I also work with the Army Reserve component as an Army officer, and I do real estate investing on a part-time basis. So, if you have any questions on any of those three, let me know.
Hi everybody, my name is Amoko Adot-Oyo. I'm a petroleum and mechanical engineer. Currently, I'm working in oil and gas as a field engineer. So,
All right, thank you for everybody introducing themselves. Christina, we're going to start with you again. You not only chose the wrong place, but you also chose the wrong profession, because I'm also in finance, so I'm going to be picking your brain. The finance field, very complex. There's different parts to it. Everything has to do with business and has some type of element of finance. Can you kind of explain why you decided to choose that field?
So, yes, I would love to. So, I've always wanted to be a lawyer, namely a corporate lawyer. So when I went to college, I triple majored in finance, business, political science, pre-law, and public policy. And once I realized that law was not for me because my personality was a little too large for it, I decided that business was for me. And so I went down that route because what I appreciated is understanding the language of business, which is money. So when you understand the language of business, there's no place you can go wrong. Like you said, every business needs to know how they bring money in, right? You have your intake, which is your top line, and then your bottom line that comes out. I'm not an accountant, my father is. I could not do accounting because I am not crazy about the numbers, but what I like is taking the accounting work and understanding the future state growth. Where is that going? What is the money telling me, right? What is it telling me right now about the operations? Where is it telling me to go? And so that was attractive to me. I loved the ability to take information and then determine what development opportunities existed as a result. So finance, in my opinion, gave me the opportunity to do that for small business, mid-scale business, or large business, regardless. So that's why I chose to move that route instead of law.
One of another very hot profession right now is software engineering and technology is booming. So Lucas, would you like to kind of speak a little bit on why you decided to go after your field and what future opportunities you see for young people who are all around here if they are interested in such a profession?
All right, so what I did was a little different. I started out with my plan B. Tech was a place where there was job security. They're not going to fire automation developers anytime soon, even in the advent of AI, which is interesting. So I started out with my plan B. I did want to become a lawyer. So started out with a safety net, a little nest egg, and then move on to becoming a lawyer. All right, I'm not going to talk about law, but yeah, that is a booming industry, especially because some really interesting things. Well, we were born in an interesting time where the phase of development of this country and the world at large is technological. So definitely the workers today aren't, the workers today, they have to be, technically sound. If you want to, move through the world as, a competent modern day person, you can't really do that if you don't know how to use your phone and all these various technologies that are readily accessible to people in this country. So something like the thing that's in your pocket, so long as it's in your pocket, you have people like me who will always be there.
If your phone is with you when you go to use the restroom, keep your phone up in the air. I should keep my phone up too. All right? If you keep your phone on while you're driving, keep your phone up in. There should be a lot of phones up right now. There's a lot of phones. Point being, we have to admit that we are addicted to our phones. Okay? Our phones have become a part of us. They've become a part of us. So, especially for the direction in which our country is moving, our society as a whole, what advice do you have to offer young people as we learn how to use our phone to our advantage, but then also protect ourselves from what the future holds? Let's go.
Yeah. Get into tech. That's one of the places where if you get in there and you are proficient, you don't have to worry about the food question. What am I going to eat today? Whether or not my children's going to eat today. You don't have to worry about the clothes question. Whether or not I'm going to have enough money to have some cloth over my back. You don't have to worry about the shelter question. Am I going to have a roof over my head the next month or anything like that? So this is really important that you resolve, food, clothes, shelter really early on, because we are talking about having the security to feed, clothe, and house yourself. This is sort of the motive drive in all of human society to produce and reproduce life. And you don't have to be some sort of security, and tech provides that. While this is a tool, for sure, it can also be something that is dangerous if not used well. This is something that's really powerful. And our ability to have some control over the phones and the way that we communicate to each other, whether or not we can communicate to each other, and all these other things is going to be really important to how we feed, clothe, and house ourselves on our own terms in the future. Tech is going to be real important.
Thank you, Lucre. Appreciate it. I have a lot of, you are in the education field. Can you kind of talk about why you decided to go into that field, and what have you seen thus far in working with young children, and how parents can do a better job of supporting their children before sending them to school?
So education field became really important for me because I'm like, okay, I get to educate people on stuff like, you know, that they don't know, or I'm actually gonna learn from other people that know stuff that, you know, that I can learn from them. So being in the education field made me realize that, you know, I can help people learn things that they didn't know, and I can learn stuff about myself that I don't know as well. And now, now, I was teaching, you know, English overseas, and after that, now I'm a program coordinator, so now I get to like supervise after school programs where I get to see like all different, you know, personalities. So now I'm like, okay, this is something I can bring back to my community, because I'm like, okay, there's all different personalities in this room. Everybody is not the same. Everybody has all that different personality. They bring in, okay, high energy, low energy. Maybe some people just need somebody like a little push, like so they can do stuff. So I'm learning that with the kids that I'm working with now. And like with the job that I do like mentorship. So that brings me to a point to like, okay, now I'm matching, you know, high schoolers with middle school or intermediate, where, you know, they get to engage, and like I get to show them like, okay, when I graduate from, not graduate, but like move on from intermediate, I go to middle, and then from middle to high school, like what are the transition type of stuff, like, you know, they can engage with, and then after, you know, intermediate, middle, and then they go to like high school. So that like shows me like, okay, this is something I can bring back to my community, and it's helping me to realize like, you know, we have all these, you know, younger youth in our community that can also benefit from that. And I think it's very important that we do have like the mentorship stuff after working like a whole year doing a mentorship program and supervising all of them. It's been a lot, but like it's great to see all the different personalities.
You mentioned is different kids learn different ways. And for a lot of the parents here and the kids as well, and us who are going, you know, through school or who have finished, we're learning that too. Hey, you know, I need to be in this space in order to have the most amount of focus. I can't have this around in order to focus, you know, and put my attention towards, you know, my assignment or whatever the case may be. One time I was, previously I was a dean at a school, a sophomore dean, and the school that I was deaning at, we had probably 90% of the students were white or Asian international students, and we had a few black students, like maybe 5 to 10 black students at the time when I was deaning there. And my black students were really struggling. It's a very high academic school. It's high pressure. Tatia was talking about school not being mentally healthy. It is mentally exhausting to get through this type of school. And I asked the counselor, I said, why is there such a precipitous drop-off between our black students here studying and our white students? And she said, Jacob, can I be honest with you? And I come from an honest household, so I said, yes, that's what I expect. I expect honesty.
Yeah.
And she said, listen, when these kids go home, stage 2 of learning begins. When your kids go home, they're going outside, their parents aren't taking care of them, their parents aren't really saying, hey, do your homework. They're teaching themselves. And so coming to school for these white kids is review. Because the night before, your parents were sitting down with you, they were teaching you the stuff in the next chapter. versus your kids when they're coming to school, this is what happens. So that's something to keep in mind, is that we are in a game that we don't know all the rules to. In this game of America, we don't know all the rules. We're just learning it. This is a part of the discussion of learning it. So we have to, find out the rules to the game, and then we got to start making our own game. And so thank you so much, Joyce, and what you're doing in the education field. It's very important. And we'll move on next to Amuko. Amuko, you made the top 3: doctor, lawyer, engineer. You have the engineer. Right? So, Amuko, can you please talk about your experience in becoming an engineer and the trials and tribulations of that? We know it's a very difficult field.
It is, but it's not as hard as people think. I believe hard work, that's all, and being consistent, because being an engineer was my thing from the beginning. From my background, growing up in Germany, in the refugee camp, we really didn't have much. When I was young, I wanted a lot of things, but I could not get them. So I made a promise to myself, when I grow up, I'm gonna make sure I'll be able to create or build for other kids who are gonna be in my situation, so that they don't lack what I don't have. And I didn't know what kind of engineer I wanted to be, but when I got to high school, I looked at demand. Our country was blessed with oil, and we're blessed with all the resources, but we don't have the professions at home who can do that, because if you go home right now, all you find is Chinese engineers, Chinese everywhere. We're working on our roads, we're working on oil and gas, we're working everything. We don't experts, we are helpers. And I was hoping I don't want to be a helper anymore. I want to be able to make the decisions and not just work for another person, but be there to be the creative mind behind it, actually. So when I went to high school, I was lucky enough to go to Europe high school, and I got inspired where everything we are taught that is hard, it's not as hard as they say, because we're not aware, we're not educated in the field. And when I discovered it's actually not hard, then I wanted to pursue it, because I wanted to be able to give back, just not to myself and my family. I wanted to give back to my community, I wanted to give back to my country, and I also wanted to give opportunity for others who don't have that kind of opportunity. Because honestly, to tell you that we don't have many engineers in our community or in our country. We have the biggest oil reserve, but if you go there, we don't have none of our people in that position that can actually make the decisions and do what needed to be done. So us being deprived of that skill and just foreigners coming to steal what belonged to us, I wanted to make sure that what belonged to us stayed with us, and that's by investing our knowledge in ourselves so that we can do the things that people come to do for us, for ourselves, instead of just asking for help. Because we're not beggars, we are very smart and intelligent human beings that we don't need help. We are ourselves the helpers.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in Maine?
A little interesting, right? I got a full scholarship to a small private college in Massachusetts called Clark University. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was very excited, right? Full ride. I was going to run cross country for them, and then I get to the school. It disappointed me. Sometimes when you're so excited, you kind of don't look at the what if, right? So I get there. People don't look like me, and I just had. I want to say, when you first go to a school and you just notice it's not the fit for you, you just know it, right? Yeah, so I spent a semester there, and I was like, I'm studying all these different things, but I haven't really made up my mind on what I wanted to do. And originally I was going for a chemistry major, So that summer after the semester ended, I basically went back home, right? I was like, I'm not going back to college. Why? You know, the parents are like, why are you not going back to college? You know, like, you know, you got all these scholarships, you're doing great, your teachers were rooting for you. Why are you not going back, right? It just didn't feel like, it didn't feel right for me to go back there because I hadn't made a decision yet on what I wanted to do. And for some of you young people who are potentially going to college, you might encounter cases where you don't know what you wanted to do. But I really encourage you guys, right, to just explore your options in terms of different subjects you may have taken in the past that you liked. So mine, I ended up switching majors to engineering because I've always had a very strong knack for math and physics. So when I switched to engineering, it was a natural fit. I loved it. So it just happened to be that the following fall, I enrolled at a public university back home, and some of the scholarships I had transferred over to the university because it wasn't college specific. So I ended up finishing college still within 4 years. So I got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering and a minor in electrical. I want to say 2 weeks before I graduated, I actually got a job offer from one of the automotive companies. So that internship ended up becoming a full-time position, designing and building pumps for them. One thing led to another. I worked there for about 2 years, and I have always been interested in joining the Army, right? But my parents were always like, you know, that's not the thing for you, right? It's not the thing. I still wanted to do it, you know. Something I know about myself is that if I have a desire to do something, I eventually do it. So I quit my job, joined the Army to become an Army officer. Their journey took about 1.5 years, training at Fort Benning, so going through basic training, going through the officer leadership course, and then eventually the basic officer leadership course in Missouri, where you kind of finish up your training and, you know, they give you the battalion to go and be a lieutenant, you know, in your home station and whatnot. So in the reserve component, the beautiful thing is you can pursue a career in the civilian side, and also you can continue, you know, serving. So my job in the Army is more like project management, actually, because as an officer, you're sort of tasked with coming up with a plan and executing it. In my absence, my soldiers should be able to execute the plan without fail. So I've been serving 5.5 years now. It's very possible I'll continue doing it for 20 years, but of course I'll evaluate that when I eventually start family. But for now, it's very good. Some of the benefits include the healthcare, and of course tuition reimbursement, which has really been helpful since I'm pursuing a master's now. So that's my second gig. The third gig is real estate. So when I went back to Maine to study at the public university, I was a resident assistant. I don't know if you guys know what that is. You probably do. So basically working with the students in the dormitories. When I left the university, I rented an apartment that was really beat down, but it was prime location, right? It was prime location. Every time you walked in, you kind of hit your head. But the location was so good that I just walked to the university with, you know, less than 5 minutes. Actually, 3 weeks ago, I visited that same house. They haven't done anything yet. The value has now almost tripled. So I bought my very first fourplex, I want to say almost 4 years ago now. That's sort of how I started in real estate investing. And I figured, what if I just buy, you know, a multi-unit and continue buying it every 2-3 years, and you know, and it's been a very good journey so far. I have managed to make a lot of great connections where some people don't really want to take the risk of investing and, you know, or taking the time to like invest, but they have money sitting in their accounts. Well, this is where I sort of proposed them. If there are great projects that come along my way, how would you like to make 20 to 30% on the money you have sitting in your bank account? Most people would say, yeah, of course. So it's been a very good journey so far, and I will likely continue doing it. So.
Amazing. Work in project management on the construction side. So can you take us through that and how you kind of got into it?
I'm enjoying you. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Like I said, I'm a construction project manager. Made all when I was very young, maybe around the age of 14. I started off helping my father, like, you know, rebuild, like, renovations, the different projects that he actually wanted me to help him with. So there was so many different projects. There's probably like 4 or 5 at the same time. Sometimes I just didn't want to do it, but sometimes I did it. And then eventually, starting from there, at the age of 14, I realized I actually like construction. So I started off at the age of 14 doing a lot of construction, you know, and that doesn't take, I wouldn't say it takes much knowledge. I would say it just takes more cautiousness, just being safe, you know. At the end of the day, I would say I started off doing that. From there, I started doing mechanical things and like cars. I actually didn't enjoy cars much, and then I ended up going back to construction management. And that's when I decided construction management was like my actual, I wouldn't say passion per se, it was more like my calling. I actually enjoyed doing construction management because obviously, I don't know, I mean, everybody that knows me, I can be kind of aggressive sometimes, but then I'm not, and then I can be like, you know, probably the sweetest guy, obviously, but. Well, that's what it takes when it comes down to, you know, being the boss. You gotta obviously take control, and that's what I do usually when it comes to construction management. And even though I enjoy it the most, I definitely would prefer a lot of the youth actually get into it. Sometimes when it comes to construction, actually, how about I ask you guys a question? How many people actually know how long construction has been in progress, I should say? Since what time of day?
Beginning?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. When did construction start?
The very beginning.
Like,
It's kind of vague, like, what kind of construction?
any construction. Like just building buildings.
Right.
Oh, building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
building. A long time. Yeah, a long time.
A long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is there's always positions for a lot of people to be able to actually get into construction. So you don't have to actually like be qualified to do anything per se, but I would say just be smart enough to work safe and be able to like help out your fellow people, you know, because there's so many different trades. I would say there's like at least hundreds, you know, like where'd Amoko go? But Amoko knows. I was gonna ask him, but either way, Amoko is part of like the construction field. I would say, in my opinion, we do a lot in the same field per se, and I definitely think I would be beneficial to like help a lot of the youth out, and I actually would say like, I'm kind of losing my thought a little bit.
Sorry.
No, I got it. Yeah, but I would say like, construction management is one of those fields where you can never go wrong. You just gotta have the tenacity to get the job done, per se, you know? So.
Right, we are running close to time. Was that, we were kind of having this conversation earlier about balance, and when we were having this mental health conversation, and it's definitely very important. Mental health isn't a negative thing, but we were kind of saying that sometimes it's whenever people go into depression or whenever people have issues, it can stem from their physical imbalances that are going on. And so I know you're interested in sport, you have interest in sports in your field, and can you just speak about the passion and how people can better improve their health and also, contributing to their mental health as well?
As currently stated, fitness has always just been a part of me. I have some uncles here, I have some cousins here as well. And so with that, I've always been quite active. I enjoy being outdoors. I've never been one to be like, I play video games, but I didn't enjoy it as much as like being outside competing. I want to play football, I want to play basketball. And with that, I want to be the best. So with that, I'm constantly like engaging in these activities. And so contrary to you, look at it, you enjoy tech, but I enjoy more of the physical aspect of it. And so with that, I began partaking in sports whenever I was in junior high, 7th grade. And I remember it was my first track meet ever. I actually sustained an injury. I don't even know what the injury was till this day. I just know my head was just hurting after the track meet. And so with that, I went to physical therapy. And so when I went to physical therapy, this kind of gave me inspiration. I seen a minority working there. It was a black gentleman. And he's the one that assisted me within my rehab process. And so that inspired me. I'm like, all right. Because our parents always like stress like being a doctor. You probably know, your parents like, hey, be a doctor, be a lawyer. Like, they have like the, they have like high standards for us. And so with that, I knew, all right, like, I want to be in that realm. And so with that, I'm like, okay, so now I'm making my parents happy, but also like this is something that I enjoy doing. And so with that, that's when I began embarking on my journey through my collegiate process. And so I went to school for kinesiology with emphasis in physical therapy. And so I went and got my bachelor's degree in kinesiology in hopes to pursuing being a physical therapist. And with that, once I graduated and I got my degree, I was like, I'm kind of tired of school. I'm like a little worn out, so I want to take a break. So some of y'all can probably relate. And so with that process, I was like, all right, cool, but I want to stay within my major. So I began working for a physical therapy company. And with that, so I just began accumulating knowledge, like, throughout the whole process. I was there for like 4 years. But after those 4 years, I was like, I think I know just as much as like the physical therapist himself, like the doctor. Because now I'm answering questions like, a patient will come ask me a question and I'm like, I can answer it, with no hesitation. And so I was like, all right, so now I want to elevate myself. And so that's when, opportunity presented itself, to now, like, I wasn't even the manager initially. So I just went in and I applied, for a position. I worked there for like 2 months. And within 2 months, I became a manager. And it's only due to like my passion within just like, fitness. I put my heart and soul into it. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And so, the word, like, it speaks for itself, like when people like interact with me. And so that's what led to me, attaining that position that I got within, that small time frame. But in all, just to go back to your question, Jacob, and how fitness and, just like creating a balance in life, and I know, Dakia, earlier you spoke on, it's like mental health. Like, for me, whenever, like, I'm going through something in life, like, I'm not one to stress personally. Like, I control whatever I can control. If I can't control it, I'll let it go. That's why a lot of times y'all see me, I'm happy. I'm not mad, I'm not sad. Like, you know, I try to keep it balanced in my life. And so, you know, I keep life very simple, but like, you know, if I do have a stressor, then guess where I go? I go to the gym to relieve myself, you know? Like, I don't gotta go to nobody, I don't gotta challenge nobody, I don't gotta argue with nobody, let me go talk to the weights. You know? I go and I talk to the weights, and you know, like, you know, ultimately, like, you know, I'm gonna lift what I can. I can't lift, I can only lift a certain amount, you know? At the end of the day, I'm not gonna defeat the weights, and so like, by the time I leave like the gym, like, now I'm relieved, you know? I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but you know, I feel good, you know? Like, now, everything that maybe it was bothering me psychologically, it's not bothering me anymore because I'm more exhausted, you know, just physically. So now the psyche is just like, my mind is clear, so I just want to rest, you know? And so ultimately, like that is what, you know, me as an individual, that's what helps me. And I know, like, you know, in our community, a lot of times, some people don't work out, you know, but it's essential. It's essential to your life because, like, I remember, like, one time when I was in school, like, my professor was like, and it may sound harsh to some people, you know, you just take it accordingly, you know, it's nothing personal. My professor was like, you know, he equates obesity to, like, laziness.
It is. It's true. It is.
Right? I'm just being frank, you know. My professor is like, you know, obesity equals laziness, you know? And then vice versa. If you're lazy, guess what? More than likely, you know, y'all can fill in the blank, but, you know, ultimately, but that's like, you know, you have to take care of, like, not only your mind, but you gotta take care of your body too, because, like, it's all in one. And so ultimately, if the more, you know, physically fit you are, then you're capable of doing, like, any task. You can perform any task. But on the contrary, if you're not, then you won't be able to fulfill certain tasks as well. And so I know my time is short, so I'll just stop there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, I think us as being mighty people, we're God-fearing people. And I think one of the elements that, you know, really gets me when I go through something hard, I turn to God and I go, all right, God, what do I need to do in this situation? How did you use this situation to, you know, challenge me or to help me? All right. And so I think that's one other thing that we have to keep in mind as we go through our professional lives and we, you know, get older. And I know a lot of us, there's a certain age that our parents, you know, don't force that on us anymore. And it shouldn't be forced on you. Everybody has their own spiritual journey. But that's definitely something to keep in mind as we're having these conversations as well. So next, we'd like to turn it to the crowd. Is there any questions that you guys have? This is very amazing information that was given up here. Auntie, I'll go to you first.
It's okay. My voice is loud. Just don't worry. Thank you so much. You guys are working hard for your education, for your commitment, and for your achievement. And the benefit is now you are working, and we parents, we are proud of you. And then also you saw good example for the younger one. So now my question is, go to the education-wise, since some of the students, when they're approaching the high school, they don't know what kind of career they're gonna do. Or sometimes they go even to the college. I've seen that through, you know, taking my children to different college and visiting and all that. I have done my part and I'm proud of them and they were successful. But what career will you be able to teach for our younger generations, for your brothers and sisters who are younger, so that they can learn on it, they can search on it, engineer and what, you know, all kind of career, you know? I'm sure almost 30 or 40 now. But if you guys, you know, list them down and show to the younger one, and so that the parents also need to involve in, so that they can learn okay, if you want to be engineer, how are you gonna study? What do you want to be? What are the benefits? So, how are you, where are you gonna be possible? How are you gonna be possible to do that for the younger one? The second one is, yes, some people will finish, their college, but they are unable to find a job. So how can you guys help that? We, the parents, we did our best. We don't know, but we say, okay, go. Yes, you say, I want my child to be a doctor. I want my child to be a lawyer. I want my child to be a what. But that is not each one design. So how are you guys gonna help for those who finish college and they are unable to find a job, and with the stress, what Itatiya say, stress and stress, depression, all that, so it will lead to something. So the question, two questions. Both of you guys can answer.
All right, I'll go first. I'll answer your second question first. I know one of the things for me personally, getting older, I never wanted to be jobless. And so with that, I wanted to pick a major which I knew that there would be a high demand in, right? And so with that, that's why I chose the health industry, right? Everybody's always gonna need to go to like doctors or, nurses, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you're always gonna have that opportunity there. And so always and that's my encouragement to everybody here, you young ones, whenever you're trying to decide which field you're gonna go into, make sure there's a high demand for it. And so that's my answer to your second question. Your first question was, could you repeat it to me again?
The careers, you have the list of the careers, so that you guys can show to the younger one, so that they can learn about it. When they are approaching to the high school, they know exactly what they are going to take, and then when in the college, they know exactly what they want to do.
I'd like Christina to answer this question. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Auntie, what an exceptional question. And my response to you is, none of us here can tell your children what to do, neither can you. In fact, what you should all do is start paying attention to your kids. What are their passions? What are their interests? What are they good at? Motivate them to do those things. Encourage them to do those things. And if they're going through high school and they're still confused, there are programs out there in this country that help you identify your passions, your interests, your motivations, all of the above. Then it couples that with careers. Give your children those tools. You do to be out of there, and why didn't you pay for that thing?